Hold on to your wallets. Men, reach around, grab. Ladies, take a little extra hold of your purse. I'm going to talk about money today. You know, whenever the church talks about money, things get a little tight. You get a little tight, I get a little tight. So just hang on to your wallets. I promise you, I won't be reaching for them today. But I do want to talk about money and relationships and what money does in relationships and what the potential money has to ruin relationships. The church talks about money a couple of times a year, typically around stewardship time, and we're quite a ways from stewardship time. But this, it seems to me, parable, it seems to me, has something to do with money and relationships and family. You know, I was thinking about what Jesus would have done. What did Jesus do with all of his money? Do we know? Did he ever have any money? It doesn't really say, does it? He talks a lot about people who have money, and money shows up in some of his stories, this one too, I think. But by all accounts, Jesus probably didn't even have any money. And if he did, he must have squandered it or given it away, I wonder. I wonder what here's my question, I guess. This would be pondering for later when you go to coffee and you say, I wonder what Father was saying today. Just ask yourself this. What do you think Jesus thought about money? Okay, hold on your wallets. This is a story about money and what it can do to relationships and families. You know, people come to me a lot for counseling, and they say, geez, you're not going to... My family, they say, is so messed up. They say, and I go, you know, you'd be surprised. Your family, I'm pretty sure there's nothing you're going to tell me that I haven't heard this week, you know? Like, all families are dysfunctional in a lot of ways. And I had a friend who used to say, I would say, geez, Dale, your life seems so perfect. Like he had a great house and wife and kids. And he'd say, Selby, every life looks different from the street. Every life looks perfect from the street. Come up a little closer, you know, get inside the house and you'll see. And I think that's really true. I've always thought about that. Dale had a really interesting life. He was a friend of mine in high school. And he loved to laugh. He had this great laugh. It was this high, kind of a giggle. Kind of a girlish giggle, really. And he just did it all the time. And a lot of times when he did it, he was making fun of you, but you didn't really care because it was such a hilarious thing. And he loved to party, and he loved to laugh. And he loved money. He grew up in a family where there wasn't, I wouldn't say his father was a loving father at all. He told me a story about when he was about 16 and he came home and his dad found out that he had been smoking cigarettes and I think he might have had the cigarettes with him or something, and his dad yelled at him and punched him in the stomach. And I thought, oh my gosh, my dad would never have done that, you know? So I don't know what their relationship was inside that home, but somehow his dad was a really hard worker, and so was his grandpa. His grandpa died, worked every day of his life, all of his life, until the day he died. And so did his dad, and so, frankly, did Dale. That was a family that learned how to work. He was a fireman, my friend Dale, and he worked shifts, his regular shifts, and he worked shifts off when he wasn't supposed to be working, and he had a lawn business on the side. And I always wondered what Dale was going to do with all that money, you know? He didn't live extravagantly, but he must have had scads of it, you know? And when he was about 55, he developed a horrible lung disease, idiopathic obliterating bronchiolitis. Doesn't that sound horrible? It's as horrible as it sounds. And one failed lung transplant later, he died. He was about 55. And I think my point about that is Dale worked his whole life to take care of his family. Nothing wrong with that. To put away things for what he was going to do when he retired, and he never got the chance to retire. And that's what I'm saying, is he robbed himself of many, many years of, I think, fun and health and joy. Right? Well, this family in the story of the parable of the prodigal son, this family is dysfunctional. They have money. Dad worked hard his whole life. The boys worked hard too, and they had to be successful because they had all this land and all this money. But now the younger son is bored. And probably the older son is bored too. But they have different attitudes, these sons, about respect and family dynamics and life and work and money. And for the younger son, he thought money was to be used, to be enjoyed, to be spent. And frankly, if you read the story, to be wasted. And for the older son, money was to be saved, to be held tightly to be gripped grimly, and if you're really honest about it, to be hoarded. And the father knew something important. The father knew that money is just a thing. That's all it is. Money is just a thing. Not to be hoarded, not to be wasted, but to make your life and your passions and your presence visible in the world. That's what money is for. Money can make meaning in your life. Again, hold on to your walls, because this is the point where you're expecting me to say, give it to me, I'll make some meaning for you. That's not what I'm saying. I promise you it's not what I'm saying. That's what you're waiting for, right? It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is don't live your whole life without having used your money to make meaning for your life. Because it won't unless you use it. The truth is, I'm not interested in your money, but I'm darn interested in mine and the hold that my money has on my life. Money is really, I think, an area where winning is actually losing. I just don't know people, and not in my experience at least, that have a lot of money, that have a lot of happiness to go along with it. It just, in my experience, it's just not true. I think the more you win, the more you lose in terms of happiness. Whatever else money is, it is just a thing. It is not happiness for long term. It is not. The younger son learns that. It is not security long term. You can have all the money in the world and you're going to go to the doctor one day, he's going to say you're sick. Yeah? That's what the older brother had to learn. Money is not health, it's not status, it's not friendship, it's not family. Is there anything, John, I know you're in the estate and trust business, is there anything more pathetic than a family who pretends to love the parent or grandparent because of their money? Is there anything more angry than children who have felt left out of something they thought they were entitled to? I'm telling you, it's pathetic. The father in this story knows something. He knows that money goes away, but people come back. Money goes away, but kindness comes back. Money goes away, but goodness comes back. Money goes away, but love comes back. Sometimes money just goes away and it just never comes back. And that's just life. Right? That's just life. I'm not saying we should waste it. That's silly. But that's prodigal behavior. You should save it. Of course, save it. But don't hoard it. Don't covet it. And don't depend on it. Put it to work. Not to make more numbers on a page. What good is that? But to express your life visibly in the world. I think that's one of the lessons of the parable of the prodigal. That money and relationships are difficult to negotiate, and that we should use money to make meaning in our lives, not become the meaning of our lives. There's a difference.